Hello there. For today's spooky reads, I come to you from the scariest place in the earth, a middle school. Yes, I'm talking to you from my day job today. I have an odd day today with some weird ebb and flow, so I had a few minutes and thought, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to talk about scary books. So today, we're going to talk about The Island of Dr. Moreau. And check out the cover on this ancient one that was in my collection. Isn't that fabulous? Yeah. So The Island of Dr. Moreau is another mad science story. You may be finding a theme in my videos. It's possible that I have a mild obsession with mad science. Island of Dr. Moreau is the one with animal experimentation. It's the one where you've got a guy who's been trying to turn animals into humans and has created these animal-human hybrid things and created a society, made himself kind of the god of the society. You know, it's pretty weird and dark, as you might expect from H.G. Wells. And we're told the story by a character named Pendrick, and he's shipwrecked. And that's how he ends up finding this mysterious island where all these mysterious experiments are being done. So I didn't read this one until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but again, it's one of those stories I already knew because I'd seen movie versions, and I always thought it was just an inherently creepy idea. And the human-animal hybrid creatures come off in most versions as really sad, and it's painful, and then it makes them so they don't fit in either world, and it just seems like a really cruel thing to do. So the part I'm going to read is from chapter 12, which is called The Sayers of the Law. And this is when our main character is going to get a little hint into what the animal hybrid society and rules are like. The little pink sloth creature was still blinking at me when my ape man reappeared at the aperture of the nearest of these dens and beckoned me in. As he did so, a slouching monster wriggled out of one of the places further up this strange street and stood up in a featureless silhouette against the bright green beyond, staring at me. I hesitated, had half a mind to bolt the way I had come, and then, determined to go through with the adventure, gripped my nailed stick about the middle, crawled into the little evil-smelling lean-to after my conductor. It was a semicircular space shaped like the half of a beehive, and against the rocky wall that formed the inner side of it was a pile of variegated fruits, coconuts, and others. Some rough vessels of lava and wood stood about on the floor, and one on a rough stool. There was no fire. In the darkest corner of the hut sat a shapeless mass of darkness that grunted, "Hey!" as I came in, and my ape man stood in the dim light of the doorway and held out a split coconut to me as I crawled into the other corner and squatted down. I took it and began gnawing it as serenely and as possible, in spite of my tense trepidation and the near intolerable closeness of the den. The little pink sloth creature stood in the aperture of the hut, and something else with a drab face and bright eyes came staring over its shoulder. "Hey!" came out of the lump of mystery opposite. "It is a man! It is a man!" gabbled my conductor. A man, a live man like me." "Shut up," said the voice from the dark and grunted. I gnawed my coconut amid an impressive silence. I peered hard into the blackness, but could distinguish nothing. "It is a man," the voice repeated. "He comes to live with us?" It was a thick voice with something in it, a kind of whistling overtone that struck me as peculiar, but the English accent was strangely good. The ape man looked at me as though he expected something. I perceived the pause was interrogative. "He comes to live with you," I said. "It is a man. He must learn the law." I began to distinguish now a deeper blackness in the black, a vague outline of a hunched-up figure. Then I noticed the opening of a place was darkened by 2 more heads. My hand tightened on my stick. The thing in the dark repeated in a louder tone, "Say the words." I had missed its last remark. "Not to go on all fours, that is the law." It repeated in a kind of sing-song. I was puzzled. Say the words, said the ape-man, repeating. And the figures in the doorway echoed this with a threat in the tone of their voices. I realized I had to repeat this idiotic formula. And then began the insanest ceremony. The voice in the dark began intoning a mad litany line by line, and I and the rest to repeat it. As they did so, they swayed from side to side and beat their hands upon their knees, and I followed their example. I could have imagined I was already dead and in another world. The dark hut, these grotesque dim figures just flecked here and there by a glimmer of light, and all of them swaying in unison and chanting, "Not to go on all fours, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to suck up drink, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to eat flesh or fish, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to claw the bark of trees, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to chase other men, that is the law. Are we not men?" And so from the prohibition of these acts of folly onto the prohibition of what I thought then were the maddest, most impossible, and most indecent things one could well imagine. A kind of rhythmic fervor fell on all of us. We gabbled and swayed faster and faster, repeating this amazing law. Superficially, the contagion of these brute men was upon me, but deep down within me, laughter and disgust struggled together. We ran through a long list of prohibitions, and then the chant swung round to a new formula. His is the house of pain. His is the hand that makes. His is the hand that wounds. His is the hand that heals. And so on for another long series, mostly quite incomprehensible gibberish to me about him, whoever he might be. I could have fancied it was a dream, but never before have I heard chanting in a dream. His is the lightning flash, we sang. His is the deep salt sea. A horrible fancy came into my head that Moreau, after animalizing these men, had infected their dwarfed brains with a kind of deification of himself. However, I was too keenly aware of the white teeth and strong claws about me to stop my chanting on that account. His are the stars in the sky. At last that song ended. I saw the ape-man's face shining with perspiration, and my eyes, now being accustomed to the darkness, I saw more distinctly the figure in the corner from which the voice came. It was the size of a man, but it seemed covered with a dull gray hair, almost like a Skye terrier. What was it? What were they all? Imagine yourself surrounded by the most horrible cripples and maniacs it's possible to conceive, and you may understand a little of my feelings with these grotesque caricatures of humanity about me. He is a five-man like me, said the ape-man. I held out my hands. The gray teacher in the corner leaned forward. Not to run on all fours, that is the law. Are we not men? He said. He put a strangely distorted talon and gripped my fingers. The thing was almost like the hoof of a deer produced into claws. I could have yelped with surprise and pain. His face came forward and peered at my nails, came forward into the light of the opening of the hut, and I saw with a quivering disgust that it was the face of neither man nor beast, but a mere shock of gray hair, with 3 shadowy overarchings to mark the eyes and the mouth. He has little nails, said this grisly creature, in his hairy beard. It is well. Many are troubled with big nails. He threw my hand down, and instinctively I gripped my stick. Eat roots and herbs, it is his will, said the ape-man. I am the sayer of the law, said the gray figure. Here come all that be new to learn the law. I sit in the darkness and say the law. It is even so, said one of the beasts in the doorway. Evil are the punishments of those who break the law. None escape. None escape, said the beast folk, glancing furtively at each other. None, said the ape-man. None escape. And that's a good spot to stop. So, Island of Dr. Moreau. truly creepy concept and truly wonderful in its execution. All that litany and the fervor that had been built into the creatures is a scene that will stick with me for a long time. So if you haven't read it, I hope you'll check it out. And if you have read it, I'd love to hear what you thought. Happy Halloween.